Yeah, all right, welcome back once again. We got the great RJ Ronquillo in the house.
How you doing?
This is the blues blender of all of YouTube. I mean, if you want one channel where you can see every style of blues into one spot, I think your channel, like, is the quintessential channel for that.
I like the blues blender moniker.
And bluesian too, because you got rock, blues, yeah. You got it all in there. So if you're unfamiliar with him, make sure you check out his YouTube channel. It is some of the most awesome, all around kind of blues rock, even like you do rockabilly, you do metal, you do everything.
A little bit of everything, yeah.
God dang you. Well, and if you don't know, you have toured a lot, but you've played with just completely diverse acts, from Ricky Martin to what was it, Thompson Station? Is that what
Thompson Square?
Thompson Square, and then other Stone Sour, like Full Metal, like who else?
Stevie Wonder.
Shut up! You played with Stevie Wonder and Chaka Khan?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Honestly, you heard it here first,
dude. How was that?
It was nerve-wracking, but I mean, I was nervous. I was
like, you toured with Stevie
I didn't
Wonder?
know. I performed for a TV thing with him.
No way.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Just to be, a part of it.
Wow.
Watch him.
Bro, Chaka Khan too. That's no joke.
That was an interesting gig.
Yeah.
That's for another story.
That's for the private conversation. Okay, so in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start talking about how RJ mixes these, and what we've done is we've created a course down below in the description box, which is, I think, like, if you're to sum up RJ's playing, it did a really good job of kind of giving you like the overall arching umbrella. Like, if you want to start getting an understanding of where it all comes from, I think you nailed kind of the main elements of what goes into what you do without having to know like a lot of theory or any of that kind of stuff. It's like a very good, like, traditional, incorporating a little elements of jazz and then straight up rock.
Yeah, I mean, it's all blues based.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my heart is. It's always kind of, I love blues, but there's so many aspects to blues, whether it's jazzy blues, Chicago blues like shuffles, or harder rockin' British blues.
Yeah. When you do like the Kid Ramos or Ramos and all that kind of stuff too.
West Coast blues, swing,
which is,
jump
that
blues.
stuff's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You turned me on to a bunch of give him a couple of people to listen to really quickly, like that do that West Coast thing.
Kid Ramos, Junior Watson, our friend Kirk Fletcher's great.
Oh, Kirk, jeez.
Yeah. He's a monster.
Yeah. Okay, so in this video, let's just talk about kind of these slower blues, but maybe we'll go traditional at first.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to adding a little bit of sophistication to it. And then at the end, we'll blender it up.
Yeah. I mean, so with the slow blues thing, I always pull from the three kings,
Okay.
B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert King.
Okay.
And a lot of it is, basically I learned their licks or the licks that I really, was compelled to from their playing, and either sometimes play them verbatim or sometimes add my twist to them.
Okay, so if I played that same progression, could you show us like what B.B. King and then what the Kings?
Yeah, or I could, mix them all up.
I just kind of announce, so in case they're not familiar with those specific people, like what's different about what they might see in each of their styles.
Sure, I'll try to.
All right. So is this BB?
Sure.
Okay, so out of that, if you were to like quintessential BB, what would some BB?
The BB box, basically.
Where is the BB box? Just
so if we're in the key of G down here, it's really like that's kind of the main notes. I don't know if someone made it like an exact scale, but like.
So are you playing inside basically like minor box one, but you're playing the major notes?
Yeah, it's almost like, if you think about it in terms of music theory, it's almost more derived from Mixolydian.
Okay.
So it's almost like a hybrid of Mixolydian and like Dorian or pentatonic. So like if you took a phrase.
So what's the big box that you're playing? So that's kind of BB box is kind of inside of a big box. What's the
so if I took this fragment, which is very much like what BB would play around, like.
Okay.
Right? Just that. That is kind of major pentatonic, I would say. Mm-hmm. But also, I kind of think of it as Mixolydian because once he starts bending notes, like. So you kind of have like in between notes.
Sure.
The vocal aspect of it. But you can also.
Are you kind of playing out of like a minor pentatonic framework almost?
I do think of it because sometimes I'll drift into minor pentatonic. So I might do like a very B.B. King.
Break that down really quick and why what it is. So you kind of went up in the B box and down in minor pentatonic.
Yeah, which is great to do. So I do think of it all in one area. So I'd probably do think of it in minor pentatonic terms.
It's probably easier to find it because you're like, okay, where's the root? Where's key exactly. am I playing in?
Totally. And I mean, you could think of it there too because like BB likes to hit the tonic note, right? Okay. So wherever that tonic note is, since we're in G, the one, so that's a box right there. But those notes sound kind of dorky, I guess, or kind of doesn't make any sense. But once you get the bend,
oh yeah,
right. It's almost like you have to bend those upper notes to make it sound like what it's supposed to sound like.
Okay.
So which is interesting because, so we had that shape down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the exact same shape up here, but you have to bend these notes.
You know what my brain thinks about is this one is in a minor box and you put major in it.
Yeah.
Where this one is the major scale shape with a minor note in there. Does that make sense? Because
scale.
well, because like if you look at the G chord,
Oh,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
okay.
would be more of the minor note.
Right.
So
That's
it's almost reverse. But
Right.
it's the same shape, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, or you could think of it as the same shape, but in C, which
Okay.
would be the 4 chord, but that,
Oh, right.
yeah, that wouldn't make total sense. But if we're thinking this, you know, in G,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
but
That
we're
makes
just
sense.
all, you know, playing around with the bends a little bit more to,
Okay.
to work it out.
So let's do that. Play around in this spot and then show them what the difference. But do it a little bit slower so they can digest your freaking awesome phrasing. Okay, so I'm gonna play the same thing. Stick in this box. Second round.
Okay.
Go here and so show them how you play it differently.
Just
I
the
guess.
BB stuff, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
it's interesting to just one of the great things about BB is, at least part of his career, he kept it simple as far as, you know, there weren't a lot of notes. He wasn't playing in a ton of different positions.
Okay.
He would really make it a feel thing. So that's probably the second half of this whole thing is, you know, you have some notes to play around with, but more importantly is the feel and the approach and the way you attack notes and the way you bend notes and how slow your bends are and vibrato.
Okay, so like give us
So there's like an in-between thing. So I could bend it half, like this note, this lick. That's only bending up a half step, right? But you could also bend it up a whole step and get that major third.
Okay.
And you can go in between there, like. Or overbend
Wow,
it.
all
So,
right. So
and
he
that's,
works one spot.
yeah, and that's going into the Albert King thing where, you know, he played upside down and he had really thin strings, so he was able to like play 4 or 5 notes within a bend,
Oh my gosh.
you know, chromatically.
Yeah, because you're pulling down, right?
Right.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that's just like that makes it sound a little more vocal,
Okay.
which is kind of, I think, the idea behind this kind of bendy bluesy thing is you're mimicking a singer.
Okay. So that's kind of traditionally sounding. What if you started to jazzify or make the blues a little bit more sophisticated over the same thing? What are you going to start doing?
So that's actually a good segue with the BB Blues box, because the BB, that little fragment that I was playing on, in the BB Blues box, now you can start thinking of that as coming from a Mixolydian feel.
Okay.
So like if I was playing G Mixolydian, you've got that major third now. So, you know, if you're kind of, you know, a beginner to intermediate blues player and you're just kind of stuck on, you know, position 1 of the pentatonic
Okay.
or blues scale, that's all. I mean, you can you can sell millions of records and,
Oh, for sure.
and make a living playing that, and that's totally fine. But if you wanted to make it jazzier, you could, you know, instead of playing a minor third lick, you can slur from the minor third to the major third. So now it's making it sound more dominant 7.
Okay.
And then play like a BB thing. And it's so it's like almost like all this.
Just do that again. Just slow that down now. That's not slow, dude. Like you're stuck in glue.
That's my Ingve face. Sorry.
Totally. You know, it's funny because you start to throw like that G major arpeggio in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of outlining a G7 tonality.
Well, and I think that is a lot of, and people have such an aversion to the word jazz sometimes, but I think what a lot of people are saying is you start incorporating things like arpeggios and stuff that kind of outline the chord more rather than sticking to a basic pentatonic shape, I think is what it boils down to. And then people are like, oh, okay, well, I like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. But I think people are, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, when we say jazzy, it's such a kind of like a broad term, but like when I say jazzy blues, it's more adding elements of like chromaticism or lead-in notes.
Would it be something like a Robin Ford or like, who are some players that kind of do that?
Kind of, yeah, Robin Ford. I mean, obviously we talked about West Coast blues, and that's a style unto itself. Mm-hmm. But as far as the more modern stuff, I mean, all of our friends really.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You know, Guthrie, Ford, Thurston.
Yeah.
Kirk.
Yeah, if you guys don't, if you're new here and you haven't seen those cats play, for sure, you got to check out Guthrie Trapp, Kirk Fletcher, Ford Thurston. I mean, there's a ton of Corey Congilio. Absolutely. Corey's a freaking monster too. They're all, it's scary. There's something in the water down here.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so let me play that same thing, and the phrasing that you were doing in your example, start to just try to stick in that one spot so people can, and then kind of backtrack and show us what you're doing. Ready? 2, 3, 4. Okay, so over the one chord, is there ways that you outline that chord?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, you were saying arpeggios, and really the best way to outline a chord is with triads and arpeggios, because basically an arpeggio and triad is the chord broken down into single notes, right? So that could be a G major triad.
So are you putting the thinking about it, is it like a G major triad inside of a G minor pentatonic box? Is that kind of?
Sorta, yeah. That's the thing. That's the weird thing about blues, and maybe that's why I love it so much, is you can, for the most part, you can play around with minor pentatonic sounding stuff and more like Mixolydian dominant sounding stuff, because I think traditionally it comes from the vocalists of the blues. Sure. Because there's that rub between a minor third and a major third.
That sounds so good.
Which I guess technically gives you you know, it allows you to do that. I mean, it's like a built-in rule.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the flexible note. Exactly.
So I do think in terms of I'm in this first position box.
Okay.
But it's almost like in my head I'm mapping out like I can see overlaid on top of the regular pentatonic. I can see where like the jazzy notes are. To
Okay,
me.
where are the jazz?
And to me, like
jazz curious
so,
notes.
The major third is a jazzy note, but for me, it only in this style it only works if you hit the minor third before.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you do, if I played, it's too major sounding,
Right.
It's not as
The nerdy
soulful.
kid at school. Yeah.
Like,
hey,
as
we're gonna
opposed to-
play blues. Yeah.
It's like you got to pair those two together.
Well, it gives it little teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing which probably would come from Mixolydian is that sixth note,
Ooh,
the E.
That was good. Wait. So do that again.
So if I'm playing this fragment of a pentatonic scale, let's say,
Yeah.
I'm almost replacing this flat 7 note, the F, with an E instead.
Okay, do that one more time.
So that would be a new type of pentatonic scale. Like
Yeah.
you could, just replacing that one note, instead of playing the F, play an E. So you could do it instead of going.
Oh, yeah.
So you got the best of both worlds. You've got a
Sure.
little bit of minor pentatonic, and then you've got this.
You know where that lick is, I love an example of that is Things I Used to Do by Stevie Ray Vaughan. The opening lick he does, it's just a burning lick that does exactly what you're talking about. It's like he does like a or with some weird like, but those notes are very pronounced when he does it. And it's like, what is that?
Yeah. So I mean, it's not some scale that some composer made up. It's just sonically the way that the blues was developed, I guess.
Okay.
But that's something that you can think of in terms of, okay, instead of playing a regular pentatonic scale, I'm going to change the F to E, and then you got stuff like.
What was that little like chromatic slide you did down the top strings? Oh, that's cool.
So that's another note, this A, which is the
But
ninth.
you slid from this note into that note.
Oh yeah, that's another thing is the slurs and the sliding.
The slur is king.
Yeah, you can do it on any note. I mean, you could like,
Oh yeah.
so, and that's just a phrasing thing. That's just kind of like, how can I make it more vocal? How can I make the line more interesting?
Sure, that makes sense. All right,
So-
what else? Do tell, sir.
Yeah, so
Is it like the deal of the crossroads licks? Right?
Yeah, right. So really just mixing up all of these notes. Okay, so let's just start with the top 4 strings of pentatonic. So, right? So if I add what I think are the jazzier color notes on top of it, it would sound like so. And I could probably do. So it's very chromatic if
Yeah.
I'm thinking in terms of adding more color notes. So it's like you could add that blue note too.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's almost
Almost like anything
it's not
works.
a full. It's not a full chromatic thing.
Pretty close.
You could make it, but
Sure.
it's really about choosing the right notes and the right note groupings.
Okay, well, speaking of choosing right notes, let's go over phrasing in one spot of how to hit the changes. Because if I'm playing the G, right? Okay, so what are you doing to kind of honor that G chord?
I like to always hit the third of the chord. So in this case, it's going to be a major third. So that's the B note. So I almost, always target that note wherever it is. So if it's
Okay.
I would say that's the most.
Well, I mean, you just played a whole G chord with the notes you just did.
Yeah, I mean that was a G6 chord, really. So, I mean that's a stock lick. That particular thing is such the basis of so many.
Yeah, we gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. But I mean, I would target the third more than any note, because once you start moving to the next chord, it all will make sense. And then go.
Oh, so you're hitting the third again.
Yeah, it's a good exercise. I don't do it all the time because you start sounding too obvious, but it's a good exercise that I learned in jazz school. Every time the chord changes, make sure you play the third, whether it's a major third or minor third, on beat 1 of the change.
Oh, okay. That's a great idea.
So, I don't know if you were able to hear the chords.
I totally can hear it, yeah.
So when you do that, you can totally hear the character of the chord. So you can kind of hear the chord changes going under it. And that was one of the exercises that we practiced back in the day, was landing on your thirds and playing a cappella without any chords or backing track or band, and just practice making up lines to... The goal was
you want to be able to hear the chord progression.
Yeah, the goal was so the listener can hear exactly what the chords were by your single note playing.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And hitting the thirds, major thirds, was kind of the key.
Okay, so for the 4 chord.
And you could back that up by hitting the root right after it. That's what I do a lot. So. If I hit the 5 chord,
dude, that's... All right. Hold on a second. You're doing a whole lot of awesome now. You got to slow that down. So let's go do exactly what you just talked about.
Okay,
honoring the thirds, but do it slow.
So on beat 1, I'm going to try to hit the major third of each chord.
So the chords are G, C, and D.
Yeah. So I'll just play a phrase kind of at a time, right? Right. That would be, hi, I'm G.
Yeah.
And from here, now I'm in C.
And you went down to the third.
And that's another thing to make it jazzier, is the chromaticism. Because from here, so if I'm landing on this note and I know I want to get to the E note, which is going to be the third of C, the closest place is that E. So I can just go, right? And then if I want to go back to the third of G again, which is B, something like that. If I want to go to D, the third of D is F sharp. And that's just an triad.
Okay.
With a passing note. Right? And that's just pure major. I'm not even making it like D7 or D9, which you could go like.
Yeah, that was super cool. What was that?
That's just hitting, so I'm hitting the third right on the 1, on B1, and then the root, and then root 7, flat 7.
Okay, what would the chord shape be that you're playing on?
D9, I would play. I do that a lot. I do that way too much.
That's cool sounding though.
So that's like saying D7 right there.
So wait, hold on. So if you're the D, was it walking? And then
exactly.
so you walk
Chromatic
up one
up.
way and then back.
Yeah. So that A is kind of like the
awesome.
pivot point.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could, I mean, that's a stock lick. Take it.
Take it.
I probably stole it from somebody else.
That's amazing. Okay, so what else can we do? I mean, that's pretty legit. Okay, so let's wrap this one up because we got an episode 2 where we're gonna start fusing rock into this kind of stuff too. 3 takeaways. So would BB Box be one of them? Like, get familiar with the BB Box.
Yeah, get familiar with BB Box, but don't be afraid to just learn the licks.
Okay.
Learn those stock licks, and not just the notes, but the feel, the bending, and the approach.
Like how they get into the lick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm basically playing what I think BB would play. What would BB do? WWBBD.
WWBBD. All right. And then step 2?
Step 2, once you want to get into the jazzier stuff, think in terms of the pentatonic box that you most likely already know, and play around with the major third, minor third of the scale going to the major third. So, especially that kind of hammer-on slur thing, where you can slide it. And that brings you into this triad thing, as well as other notes like the 6th, replacing the 6th, replacing it, the 7th, the F note with the 6th, which is the E note. So we were talking about. It makes it sound lighter, not as aggressive as like. Yeah.
Nice soft pellet to land on. Okay, and then would the third step be playing around with the thirds?
Yeah.
Or
targeting the thirds.
Targeting the thirds,
when we're playing through the changes, kind of intentionally, even as an exercise, just intentionally try to land on the major third of the chord.
What I loved about what you were doing is you would take the high note of one and then go to the lower third, like walk down, or vice versa.
Yeah, because once you start thinking about it, the notes are a lot closer than you think. So it's you don't have to play a ton of scalar up and down the neck stuff.
Sure.
A lot of the cool melodies and the cool themes that you can come up with are just within these clusters of notes.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, if people watch Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and B.B. King, I mean, so they move around, but a lot of times it's shifting the same thing they were doing up an octave. You know what I mean? Like Stevie Ray Vaughan, especially those positions 1 and 2. I mean, he's like always in there. You know, or B.B. King, I mean, he is not moving around very much. Even Hendrix just worked a spot with maybe, 4 notes and just really bent all over the place. Yeah,
there's a lot. I mean, a lot of stuff can happen in a one position pentatonic shape.
Yeah.
It's, it's a lot more involved than most people think. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it and get stuff out of it.
Well, and I think that, like what you're saying, the feel is important. You got to abandon just the scale and like really try to make the notes feel like something. And I think if you don't mess around with trying to find notes in one bin, like you were saying, like how BB does, that's like the gateway to being able to make the blues feel like something. Like you or Kirk or any of these, you guys make it feel like blues, even though you can break it down in the scale what you're doing. That other aspect of the vibrato and the different kinds of bends and all that stuff actually adds all the what people really want. Otherwise, it just sounds like a math contest.
Totally.
Blues.
It's okay to keep everything simple and just stick with like 2 or 3 notes and play around with it. You don't have to go.
But if you can, it's super fun too.
That's for the next video.
All right, so anyways, all of this is going to be a deep dive into RG's style down below. We have a blues course and it goes over basically rock, blues, fusion, it goes over West Coast blues. It kind of covers everything that has gone into making his style, and it's so much fun. There's tracks, there's tabs, there's all that stuff. And then I sit down and kind of in the same format and really like dive into what he's doing and really ask a lot of questions. So he makes it really clear for you to understand what he's doing. So if you're a fan of his style, I know you're gonna dig that course. Down below, check it out. Follow him on social media, all the talks and grams and books.
I'm on it all. Just Google me.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support. This is all because of you guys. All this stuff comes because of your support. Thank you so much for checking in. We'll catch you next time.